do you need?
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars and welcome to another one of my Conjuring universe reviews. Today I am reviewing Annabelle Creation that was released in 2017 and was directed by David F. Sandberg, and it stars Antonella Padilla, Samara Lee, Miranda Otto and Lulu Wilson. Right, okay, so this is a prequel and an origin story for the Annabelle doll, and it is set years previous to anything that has come before in the Conjuring universe. And it follows the tragic tale of a mother and father, Samuel and Esther, who have a little girl who they adore, who is unfortunately killed in a road accident. And unfortunately, they kind of invite in evil spirits in the hope to reconnect with the spirit of their daughter. They soon realise their mistake and manage to lock up this evil spirit in the Annabelle doll. The father is a doll maker, and lock this doll away in a cupboard surrounded by the word of God, and the door is locked. To kind of make up for their sins, they open their home several years later up to orphaned girls. And there is a busload of new girls arriving at this house to kind of take up their charity. They are accompanied by a nun who is played by Stephanie Sigmund, Sister Charlotte. But once there are two girls in particular, Linda and Bee, who take an interest in an unused room that turns out to be the daughter's room. And once they sneak in there, and they then discover the room that the Annabelle doll is being kept in, and then the evil is once again unleashed upon these girls. Right, what are my thoughts on Annabelle Creation? Well, it was a commercial success, the first Annabelle film, and I have covered the first Annabelle film on this channel. I actually don't mind the film at all. I actually think it's quite good. I think it was probably unnecessarily mauled by a lot of critics, but it was a commercial success, so they decided to move forward with a sequel because it is such an interesting phenomenon, if you like, the Annabelle doll. But they wisely chose to kind of take it right back to the beginning, strip it back, and do an origin story. And this film easily is one of it is the best Annabelle film, but it also, I think, is arguably the third best third best Conjuring film in the whole saga. I think the first Conjuring's the best. Conjuring 2, I think, is very good. And I think Annabelle Creation, is right up there as well. I think what we have here is a finely constructed horror film with some genuine scares inserted into the film, made by a talented director who has brought us things like Lights Out in the past, which I think is an underrated horror film. And he directed Shazam as well. So we have a talented director here that knows how to build suspense and to tell stories and to make characters interesting. And that's the thing I think this film does really, really well. It's, other than a couple of the girls, these orphans at this home who, are fairly anonymous, but they still have, at times a part to play in the film. The rest of the characters here, I think, are quite interesting, well written and well performed by Lulu Wilson and Samara Lee in particular. Samara Lee plays like a disabled child, essentially. She's got like problems with her legs and things like that. She can't access stairs. She has to use like a stair lift and all this kind of stuff. So she's like the most vulnerable there. So she's like the initial obvious target from Annabelle. This entity that possesses Annabelle. And honestly, there are some incredibly tense moments. I rewatched this with my wife and my son. Now, both of them hadn't seen this. We're kind of making our way slowly through all the Conjuring films again. And neither of them had seen this one, and they were both suitably scared when they needed to be, and suitably impressed by the end of it. It was a very, very well made film. I think the director, David F. Sandberg, has got a real eye for horror direction, a real eye for direction in general. But he manages to create here what I think is a deeply effective horror film for the most part. And I think it's a shame, really, that you could argue maybe this one should have come first to tell the origin story of Annabelle, because initially the director wasn't interested in doing like a horror sequel. He wasn't keen on them. But when he was sort of reassured that this was going to be a standalone film with no connection to the other films other than, occasional mentions to kind of tie it to the other films and things, he was on board with it, because he obviously, recognised that this was, a well put together film that, under the right direction, could be very, very, impressive, and it certainly was. I think he did a great job. I mean, there are some moments in this film where, what I call like popcorn flying moments, where you kind of jump and the popcorn will fly out of your tub or whatever you've got it in. Very, very good stuff, really. And it's one of those films that kind of slow burns initially, but kind of gets to a crescendo and just keeps escalating and escalating and escalating, and you kind of along the ride, you're on the ride with the film, and just getting more intense and more intense and more intense, and then the ending, I think, is very nicely done in a sense of it, how it ties to the first Annabelle and the Conjuring universe in general. So if you've never seen Annabelle Creation, it's a very, very good film to watch. Number one, it's a good horror film and an effective horror film. And number two, it's a strong entry into the Conjuring universe as well. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll be back with more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.